In the grand narrative of human history, certain chapters seem conspicuously thin, their pages filled more with conjecture than with concrete facts. The story of Africa, a continent teeming with ancient civilizations, profound philosophies, and sprawling empires, is often one of these chapters. A common yet deeply flawed perception is that pre-colonial Africa was a continent without writing, a land of unrecorded history. This couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is far more complex and tragic. Africa did not lack a written history, but much of it was systematically destroyed, stolen, or allowed to decay. This is the story of the lost archives of a continent, a chronicle of deliberate erasure and the remarkable resilience of memory preserved through oral tradition. It's a tale of what was lost and how, against all odds, the spirit of Africa's past survived. The destruction of Africa's historical documents was not a single cataclysmic event, but a long, slow burn of cultural annihilation spanning centuries. It began long before the scramble for Africa, with invasions and conflicts that saw libraries and archives as prime targets for obliteration. One of the earliest and most devastating blows was the destruction of the Great Library of Alexandria in Egypt. While often associated with the Roman era, its decline was a protracted process involving multiple fires and purges. This legendary repository held scrolls and texts from across the known world, including invaluable records of African history, science, and philosophy. Its loss was not just a loss for Egypt, but for the entire continent, and indeed the world. It set a grim precedent. To conquer a people, you must first erase their history. As foreign powers, Arabs and later Europeans, made inroads into the continent, this pattern of destruction intensified. During the 16th century, the Songhai Empire in West Africa, a beacon of intellectual and cultural vibrancy, fell victim to this. The empire's capital, Timbuktu, was legendary for its Sankar University and the countless manuscripts it housed. These texts covered an astonishing range of subjects, from astronomy and mathematics to law and poetry. When a Moroccan army invaded in 1591, they didn't just seek to conquer the land. They sought to decapitate its intellectual legacy. Scholars were killed or exiled, and thousands of precious manuscripts were either burned on the spot or carted away to Morocco, never to be seen again. What was lost in the looting of Timbuktu was not just paper and ink, but generations of African knowledge, the written proof of a sophisticated and scholarly civilization that defied the simplistic narrative later pushed by colonizers. The age of European colonialism, however, brought about the most systematic and widespread destruction of African archives. As colonial powers carved up the continent, they imposed their own administrative systems, languages, and, crucially, their own version of history. Indigenous systems of governance, which often had meticulous record-keeping traditions, were dismantled. In many kingdoms, royal scribes kept detailed chronicles of lineages, laws, and significant events. These were not just historical records. They were the legal and cultural bedrock of their societies. When colonial administrators arrived, these documents were often deemed irrelevant or, worse, a threat to their authority. Many were confiscated and subsequently lost in European archives, left to rot in damp basements, or simply destroyed. In the Congo, for example, Belgian colonial officials seized vast quantities of local records, part of a broader strategy to subjugate the population by severing its connection to its autonomous past. The deliberate neglect was as effective as outright destruction. Furthermore, the colonial enterprise was built on a racist ideology that portrayed Africans as primitive and incapable of creating complex societies. The existence of sophisticated written histories directly contradicted this narrative. Therefore, their destruction was not merely a byproduct of conquest, but an ideological necessity. Missionaries, in their zeal to convert Africans to Christianity, often viewed indigenous texts, which might have contained spiritual or philosophical ideas, as pagan and heretical. They encouraged their new converts to burn these fetishes of the old world, replacing them with the Bible. While they may have believed they were saving souls, they were simultaneously contributing to the erasure of priceless cultural heritage. The burning of the G.S. manuscripts in Ethiopia by overzealous converts, or the destruction of traditional records in what is now Nigeria, are stark examples of this religiously motivated cultural vandalism. Each manuscript turned to ash was a voice from the past silenced forever, a piece of the African puzzle lost. The theft of Africa's heritage was as damaging as its destruction. During the colonial period, Africa was subjected to a cultural plundering of staggering proportions. European explorers, soldiers, and administrators looted artifacts, artworks, and, of course, manuscripts on an industrial scale. The British expedition to Benin in 1897 is a notorious example. After burning the city to the ground, the British carted away thousands of bronze plaques, ivory carvings, and other royal treasures. Among the loot were believed to be historical records, including a fabled illustrated history of the Benin Kingdom. These items were not taken for preservation. They were stolen as trophies of war and sold to private collectors and museums across Europe. Today, the Benin bronzes are scattered in museums worldwide, but the written records that might have accompanied them, that could have provided context and deeper understanding, are largely gone. This story was repeated across the continent. French officers took manuscripts from Senegal, German officials from Tanzania, and Portuguese from Angola. These stolen documents became curiosities in foreign lands. Their historical and cultural significance severed from the communities that produced them. Yet, in the face of this relentless assault on its written memory, Africa did not forget. Where written words were turned to ash or locked away in foreign vaults, oral traditions rose to fill the void, proving to be a remarkably resilient archive of the human spirit. For millennia, many African societies had cultivated sophisticated systems of oral history, long before the widespread destruction of their written counterparts. The role of the griot in West Africa is perhaps the most famous example. Griots are not mere storytellers. They are hereditary historians, poets, musicians, and genealogists. They are living libraries, entrusted with the sacred duty of preserving the history of their people. Through epic poems, songs, and detailed recitations, a griot can trace the lineage of a king back for centuries, recount the great battles of an empire, and explain the intricate web of social and political relationships. The Epic of Sundiata, which tells the story of the founding of the Mali Empire, was preserved for generations by griots long before it was ever written down. Their memory is a vault protected not by stone walls, but by the sanctity of tradition and the rigor of years of training. This living library was not unique to West Africa. Across the continent, designated elders, royal chroniclers, and specialized guilds were the keepers of history. In the Great Lakes region of Central Africa, court historians memorized detailed king lists and the major events of each reign. Among the Zulu and Xhosa, In southern Africa, praise singers Izibongo chronicled the deeds of chiefs and warriors, their poems serving as both historical records and political commentary. These oral traditions were not static. They were dynamic and interactive, often performed at public ceremonies where the community would listen, validate, and participate in the telling of their own history. This process of communal recall helped ensure accuracy and continuity. The intricate mnemonic devices, poetic structures, and musical accompaniments used in these traditions were not just for entertainment. They were sophisticated technologies of memory designed to ensure that vast amounts of information could be preserved and transmitted accurately from one generation to the next. In the silence left by burning libraries and looted archives, the voices of the griots and the elders echoed, carrying the memory of a continent. They preserved the philosophies, the laws, the epics, and the genealogies that written words could no longer protect. They kept the story of Africa alive, ensuring that the obliteration of documents did not lead to the obliteration of history itself. This incredible feat of cultural preservation demonstrates a profound truth. A people as history is not just stored on paper or parchment. It resides within the people themselves. The resilience of oral tradition is a testament to the enduring power of the human voice and the unyielding determination of a continent to remember its past. While the loss of Africa's written archives is an undeniable tragedy, the survival of its oral histories is a triumph of memory over erasure. The timeline of Africa's past is a story of profound intellectual achievement, of tragic loss, and of incredible resilience. The destruction and theft of countless historical documents was a deliberate attempt to sever a continent from its heritage, to rewrite its history with a narrative of absence and emptiness. But where the written word was silenced, the spoken word endured, carrying the soul of Africa through the darkest of times. The work of recovering, preserving, and honoring both the remaining written fragments and the vast living libraries of oral tradition is one of the most critical tasks of our time. It is a journey to reclaim a stolen past and to ensure that the full, rich, and complex story of Africa is finally told in its own voice. To truly understand the human story, we must listen to all its chapters. To learn more about the ongoing efforts to recover and digitize these lost and hidden histories, and to support the organizations dedicated to this vital work, visit the links in the description below.